Welcome back to another episode of We Need to Talk. I've got a little highlight here, and today I'd like to talk about two firebrand new horror directors that are sadly getting pitted against one another and their films. We've got Obsession, we've got Backrooms. I think I'm going to try and keep this under 20 minutes. My last couple have been pretty long. Try and give each one their little fair share of hubbub things. I'm not the biggest horror guy, so I don't think I'll have as much to talk about. But I do think when you pit these two against each other, you can see what I view as an overarching problem that we're seeing with movies today. And then you can see some good stuff on the other end. I won't reveal how I feel just yet, but I think you'll be able to tell quite shortly here which one I prefer. So we'll get right into it.
Style over substance.
So I put a little style over substance / screenplay. I'm a sucker for alliteration, and my rants are a little all over the place. To get started, right, I'm a big style is substance guy. I think, you take a movie like Blowout, or you take, I didn't have a second example ready to go, so I'm not going to say or. Take a movie like Blowout. The style is the substance. The entire thing is shot and constructed in a way that the audio recordings, this, that, the third, the making of the movie is the movie. You get so much more from it in that way. However, this is only a problem if you go for substance. So if you go for substance, then you're doing style over substance. You've put the two on a scale, and then you're tipping them one way or the other. It's pretty bad. I can't really go for it. So, really, this is just out the gates. You're going to see how I'm feeling. But Obsession to me is pretty airtight screenplay-wise. There's one scene I didn't really care for, and that was when Bear went to go cry after Homegirl got her head bashed into a brick on the steering wheel. And it was, sad. I was sad that Homegirl got killed, but Bear's crying to me wasn't very convincing, and it felt like we're supposed to have that, he's fallen to his knees, come to God moment. And then obviously he doesn't come to God. He's a terrible piece of shit person. But that one just didn't work for me. I think without that, it's pretty perfect. It's not transcendent, so I don't know if it's ever going to get that 5 from me. But it's really, really good. It doesn't ever explain. It doesn't ever stay its welcome. It does funny little... We have little respites from the horror with little bits of comedy, because obviously Mr. Curryman is keen to the comedy and the horror together. And they work pretty well together, actually, for the most part. Even, if you're not going to do a scary movie vibe and you're actually going to try and make something that is in one breath scary and also a little bit funny, I think he does a very good job. And then, Backrooms has the worst screenplay this year, tied with Disclosure Day for me, where it just feels like they go in the writing room and they just throw absolute retard shit at the wall. So for me, I look at this and I see the conceit of the Backrooms as this world our boy constructed because he hates his wife and he's out of control of his situation. And I look at Mr. Kane's Backrooms videos on YouTube and I see a huge disparity there, where one of them is allowing the style to be substance, right? So when you look at his Backrooms videos on YouTube, and I know I'm getting a little out of the wheelhouse here of if you haven't seen the YouTube videos, you don't know. I have seen the YouTube videos. I'm a little internet child. I know these things. And the Backrooms getting the budget and getting the A24 movie and getting this big release was pretty cool to me. I was 20-year-old getting this big break. Let's rock. Obviously, he printed hella money. They'll give him whatever now. My review is not going to tank his career, sadly. But you watch his YouTube videos and you see this cool world he's built where it's VHS oriented. And that was kind of on the constraints of his creativity. He had to do a VHS style so that you couldn't tell the whole thing was made in Blender. He's rendering these giant rooms, these giant underground complexes, these giant, where am I, uncanny valley kind of moments. And you don't really know where you're at, but you've been somewhere similar. And that's where the power is this uncanny valley thing where I think I've been there once in a dream. That's sublime, right? However, the build out that he does on YouTube is strong to me, where we're looking at security tapes, VHS tapes from this large multinational conglomerate corporation, and they're building some sort of storage space in the fourth dimension where you can't really understand it, but it almost has this like metaverse type quality where I think there is something genuinely like transcendent about that idea. I think it's one of the most original and 21st century tied down ideas out of like anything, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the problem is he did the build out here with the therapy, and that feels like A24 sat him down and said, look, buddy, we're going to give you 10 mil. You can do whatever you want. You can make the Backrooms look like Backrooms. But what if it was therapy? But what if it was all about like trauma? And what if it was all about, and we lose like the whole cool, weird like 80s newsroom like logo buzzing in on fucking 16-bit TV, or I'm making up words right now. I don't know the technical terms, but you know the swag I'm talking about, and the backroom swag that we got in the movie is entirely different, right? And I'm not even, and like the screenplay is just a whole, like it reads like a 20-year-old who's never been to therapy, who watched like 4 movies, and he didn't watch The Sopranos because that's like real, you know, that therapy feels like, okay, this is enough. Like this feels real enough. And then he just like went for it. And I just don't understand, because, you know, being the writer-director at 20 years old that can, like, make a giant splash like this is super cool. But the screenplay here is just, like, fucking dog shit. And then, like, the big reveal of the pirate guy, and it's, like, him, but he was a pirate the whole time. We've built the robot guy. Like, you have the evil antenna guy from the Backrooms YouTube videos. He's scary. He's cool. He's weird. And you don't get to look at him too long, because the scary part of the Backrooms is before like you realize there's big bad shit. The scary part of the Backrooms is the found footage where the camera never turns around, and we're just like we're getting thrown like random like dreamlike areas, you know. Very Lynchian, one might say. It's just this thing where he take all the strengths of it, which is the style, and then he tried to imbue it with substance, and he just ended up injecting poop into it. And we have this terrible, bloated, awful screenplay that makes no sense. And then like at the end, the corporation finds the girl and they don't know anything either. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? They really had him take a big swing from what he was doing on YouTube, which is like the equation that worked. Like that's the equation that got somewhere. That's the equation that got like 30 million views or whatever, and had the producers barking up the Kane Parsons tree, right? Or whatever his name is, Persons or whatever. It's offensive to me. It's deeply offensive to me when people do this. They're like, this is a thing that works. What if we built it at scale and then changed everything about it that works? It's like, dude, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just stop it right there. So, I mean, on the screenplay front, Obsession just clears. We have like real people doing real things. We have real interactions. The shit's like a little uncomfortable. I mean, it rips a page straight out of the Ari Aster playbook. But I'm not offended, because I think Ari Aster is worthless past Hereditary. So I'm like, that's cool, dude. If I get to see a second Hereditary with a slightly different swag, I'm good with it. I like the production design. I really like the use of shadows. I'm getting like a little further into things. But I mean, if I were to talk about like just the screenplay in Obsession, I think it's fun. I think it's real. These kids going to trivia, and then like the weird friend group dynamic, and then you find out the one guy was banging the girl the whole time, and then you're like, oh, was he lying to him? We kind of lose our mind with Bear. And then we realized, I at least realized too late that Bear was the monster, right? I mean, for a while you're like, oh, poor guy, he's dating a Latina. And then, you know, obviously we reach a little bit darker of a conclusion. But I think it builds magnificently, right? And I think Backrooms amounts to nothing. It's like phone building blocks that just keep on falling over. And well, I'm sure I'll circle back to certain things here, but in, you know, in the spirit of keeping this one shorter, I'd like to move on to discussing the
power of artifice.
The power of artifice. And so this is me just writing like cool little title card things. I don't know if that's exactly what I'm going to land on. We'll see. But the idea with Backrooms to me is it genuinely reaches the sublime when it doesn't get bogged down explaining it. And we talked about that a little bit in the style over substance thing before this. But to me, the Backrooms is, and I think I said this a minute ago as well, but it is the, like, to me, it's the transcendent idea of the postmodern, right? So, I mean, like, if you were going to collect the ideas of this like generation of artists or whatever, right? We have like modernists, and then you have the postmodernist reaction to the modernists. And postmodern is just like retard bullshit. They're like, what if nothing was anything? And then with postmodern is what I don't know, I'm just going to call it that because it's easier. It's the age of the internet. And like the idea here, and I feel like it's like a House of Leaves kind of thing, where it's the breakdown of all structure that you understand. And then it's this rebuilding on blocks that like the average person doesn't understand. And like, that's to say, like, you know, generating in a video game, like when you no clip, like, right? Like the whole idea, the whole genesis of the Backrooms thing was someone being like, you no clip out of reality. This thing is entirely rooted in like video game understanding and like this electronic space that like, if you show this to a boomer, they do not understand what's going on. Nothing about this is transcendent to them. Nothing about this means anything. They're just like, that was weird. But like, we have seen like the Backrooms to me is almost this like aged infrastructure in which we are placing the electronic, like the digital boy, like the digital boy in the old hotel. Like the power there is in the like the mismatch of swags. Like the original picture is like some hotel or something getting destroyed. It's the death of the old, and it's like rebuilding it in this like digital space. And that was what was so powerful to me about them making it a corporation that was like trying to create like self-storage, but in the digital world is like there's no real like corollary to it. Like there's no real space that corresponds in like geometry with coordinates that you could go to in this digital world. Like if you were just dropped in randomly to this world that they built that's trillions of acres, you would be lost forever, and it would be horrifying, right? And then you're walking around and everything looks like something you've almost seen before. This is sublime. This is like transcendent. This is like one of the most important, I think, aesthetics ideas build outs of the last 20 something years, right? Like you have your Tarantino guy being like, what if everything was a reference to everything else before it? And then you have, you know, Backrooms 4chan Kane Parsons guy being like, what if like all of that shit that's built on is like this falsehood? What if it's all digitized? And what if it's like weird rooms where nothing changes ever? Like it's not like anti-human, it's like a human. So I don't know. To me, I think about that, and I think about like, I feel like I have memories or dreams that look like the Backroom spaces. I feel like I remember living in like Tulsa and my grandma taking me to like a furniture liquidation place. You know, obviously that's very on the nose with the movie, but you walk around and you're like, I've seen this before. Like I wandered away from my grandmother at a store and I walked into a random room and it felt like this. It had this giant like space that was like built for people with no people, right? And that's what's horrifying, right? And it's like there were parts of this movie that like really did it. Like when he woke up in that bed and then we zoomed out and he was in a bed in the furniture store, that was freaked out. That was awesome. There are moments where like Kane really understands the connection there because I think only young people could. And then he shits the bed doing the fucking therapy build out, doing everything else about it. If you leave the Backrooms alone, like what made the Backrooms special was the Backrooms. When you try and put these tortured characters in it, and one of them's the therapist, and she goes to find him and he's evil, it just, none of it works, and I don't get it, right? But that's would be the part I would gas up about Backrooms, is it's genuinely powerful. I would love to see another movie he makes where the conceit is like, the cops are like, we're having a lot of little like teenagers going missing. There's so many kids and there's missing, and we have all these missing posters, and it's like, where could they be going? And then a cop like slips in there. Or an even better build out would just be, we're watching all of the tapes from the corporation and like all of the different test subjects, right? And that would be a lot more despondent, a lot more hopeless. But you know, they punch the button at the end and we just see them like break the cassette. Because the idea here is like, it's this 21st century thing, but I feel like it's built upon like physical media. Like, right? It looks like VHS, that's physical media. I would imagine a cassette comes out, that's physical media. It's all this other stuff. It's like the physical build out of the world, and like it's being mashed against like the 21st century electronic Reddit man where nothing's real. Like none of this is real. Everywhere you live is this fake space. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Anyways, I'm going to go to Obsession now. about the power of artifice. So for me, the cool thing with Obsession is like it doesn't take itself too seriously. It doesn't fall into the same traps that Backrooms does. It just allows itself to be like sort of an Ari Aster, like a Hereditary, in the vein of Hereditary horror movie that just has a little more funny beats, I think, and doesn't do as serious with the family drama thing. When you dive deep past the artifice, like the swag also has to be like deep as well. And I think, Obsession does a good job with both. Like they do a really, really good job with the use of shadows. They do a really, really good job of just allowing these 4 teenagers to just be like hanging out, and then stuff gets really bad and you wish that's not what was going on. It just really lets like the little moments breathe. And like I said earlier, you feel like you're losing your mind with bro. So in that way, like the artifice of like Obsession is the buildup of like this craziness, this obsession. Ooh. And then, it's very nice. And I think like the cool like One Wish Willow thing where it's like some gimmicky thing you find in a creepy old like tourist trap place, and it actually works, right? The idea there for me where it's like real people doing real things is if I broke a One Wish Willow and it seemed like my wish was happening, you would gaslight yourself for like 2 whole months about this shit unless something like really in your face happened. And obviously homegirl acting that crazy is a big step for that, but it's like these things aren't real. And then obviously the world that the movie set in feels like pretty real. And then people watching it are like, how do you not know? It's like, well, because it's like, that would be insane. If you were like, yo, I want $1 billion and broke something and $1 billion showed up, you'd be like, I'm tripping. Like, this is a prank. I'm on some Ashton Kutcher's about to pop out and tell me I got punked kind of thing. And I think that's where the cool, like, movie versus not movie kind of boundary is pushed with Obsession. And I think they do a really good job kind of towing the line, bouncing both. But really, the artifice thing, it just applies to Backrooms more than anything. And what most of this kind of putting them together review is gonna boil down to is just, I feel like Obsession like gives itself room to be what it is, and it does a pretty damn good job with it. And I feel like Backrooms is this giant swing for the fences, and bro just like struck out like pretty bad. And so what it's probably gonna boil down to is like me ranting about Backrooms for 10 minutes in each section, and then just having a nice little 30-second wrap-up for Obsession. Just because when I like things, generally, it's a lot harder to say what I liked. It's a lot harder, when the ship is sailing and there's no water coming in, you don't really like look around and go, wow, what a beautiful ship. When a bunch of holes start popping up and the shit starts sinking, you start going, here's a hole, here's a hole, here's a hole, this is leaking, this is filling up with water, and you find all these problems with it. For me, that's like kind of how movies are. Like when I don't have any problems with a movie, it just gets a 5 if it makes me feel something. I believe it or not, based on how harsh I am on this channel, I actually give a lot of 5 stars out. It's just, Backrooms is kind of poop. So, let's move on to the taste making of it,
Directing.
Just the directing. Ooh. Directing, right, and a lot of people, what is a director to a normal person? They're the name that gets attached to the project. But really, they're the tastemaker. They give the final yes or no. They say, we'll do it like this. Shut up, let's rock. Right? And when you write and direct, as both of these fellas did, you kind of get the bulk of the claps or the boos. And, I think Kane is just an incredibly questionable director, besides anything with just swag, right? We talked about the bed earlier, where bro wakes up in the bed, and then it like zooms out and he's in the furniture store, and I went, oh gosh, that was powerful. That did a really good job with this like artifice thing of like, it's a bedroom built out in not a bedroom. It does the uncanny valley thing. That's not where a bed is supposed to be. You are not supposed to sleep in a giant warehouse. It's just not right. It's just not right. And that was super powerful. That's one of those times where there's a scene in the movie that describes what the power of the movie, the sublime of the movie is in that scene. And you get it, right? But then we have a lot of other things that are just not good. The pirate reveal, right? So, in the screenplay, that's just pirate reveal comes out. In the movie, it's the worst reveal I've fucking ever seen. Like, it's this build up, and you're like, who is this scary guy chasing him? Who's it gonna be? I've seen the YouTube videos. I've seen like the tornado siren guy, and he's scary because what is that and how is it walking? The pirate guy is like this bonked ass fucking 2019 AI rendition of the pirate guy, and then he really like that. To me, that is a product of doing the therapy thing. Him being the pirate version of our main guy is by virtue of Kane being like the backrooms is in his brain. It's a manifestation of all his problems. That's not a good idea. That's a bad idea, and the execution is also bad, and so it's bad. It's just all the way bad. The pirate thing is awful. The chase scene with the pirate is pretty awful. It's like kind of scary, but it's way scarier when you don't see it. It's like I was saying in the Backrooms thing, where it's like, it feels like Kane understands this. You go watch his YouTube videos, and the most you ever get reveal of the tornado siren evil guy that follows you is like a blurry, like 4 frames while the camera falls over, right? And you would have to go back through and scrub through and pause and go, oh, that's what he looks like. You really just get like a broad smear of things, and it's terrifying. And it feels like he understands that because of the constraints of what he was doing. Maybe the render didn't look that good, and maybe it's scarier when you don't see it, right? And that's something I feel like Obsession understands with the shadows and with Indy being creepy as fuck in the corner and shit, is it's scarier when you almost can't see it. It's scarier when your mind fills in the blanks. And, like, that's what it feels like the Backrooms is supposed to be, is, like, a memory of a memory of a memory, right? Or something like that, you know? And they make an effort to talk about this where, you know, they put it in the screenplay like 4 times, and it's stupid as fuck, where he's like, it's like trying to describe a dog to someone who's never seen a dog and asking them to paint it. It's like, that's like your one-liner, and, like, you know everyone's Letterboxd reviews that like it are going to put that in there. And it's like the big, like, synopsis of the Backrooms. Like, it's, if you could describe it in one sentence, that's what you came up with. That retard shit is what you came up with. It's bad. It reads poorly. Every time they say it, it feels like the other person's supposed to just have their mind blown. It's this epiphany, and it sounds bad. It sounds stupid. It sounds like something I wrote when I was 17, and it's just like, I mean, granted, he's only 3 years older than that, so it's like, I'm trying to cut him some kind of slack, but I just can't. It's so bad. And then, like, the therapy build out, terrible. That's not, like, even though the acting is, like, kind of straight. Like, when he, like, tees up in the therapy session and he's like, is it you or my wife or whatever? You're like, this guy is giving his all to this movie, and the screenplay is just the worst thing ever. And then, like, you should see when you're directing this that this is going nowhere. We do the thing where homegirl goes back to her house as a child and, like, picks up the brick, and then that's what she uses to kill the pirate. It's like this Disney movie level retard shit where it's like the power of memory. And it's like, what is that? Like, why does the pirate try and kill her? Why does the pirate kill bro? I saw a theory where it's like the pirate kills him because he's eating the people in the Backrooms. He only takes a bite out of bro after bro takes a bite out of cotton candy AI guy. Okay. I thought about it for a second and I said, that's a good read. And then I thought about it again and I said, no, because the guy knows you can eat the people. He's making a display to this girl about how you can eat the people. He's clearly done it before. And he's clearly never had a bite taken out of him by the pirate guy who was playing bodyguard at the door. Is he in control of this place or not? I guess he loses control of it because he's crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. It's bad. It's poorly built out, and it's not good. And then even when, like, the swag of it looks good, right? Like, the dinner scene, you get, like, Mad David Lynch vibes, where it's just, like, unsettling, and we do this, like, small-town America, but slightly off-kilter, and, like, the kitchen. Like, you can just see, like, the inspiration's on his sleeve, and that's fine. But, like, the actual dinner itself is, like, super bad. When she, like, lays into bro, it's, like, not good, and it's, like, not a revelation once again, and it's not, like, there's just a big incongruence between, like, what we're supposed to feel, and you can tell Kane's going for it, where it's like, this is supposed to be an epiphany. Everyone in the theater is going to gasp. I'm in the theater, no one gasps. A bunch of 12-year-olds start throwing popcorn at each other. And I get that, like, the little kids that watch this don't give a fuck. And I get that most people don't give a fuck. I give a fuck. It's just dumb. The big corporation thing. What is the idea here? That the corporation, like these backrooms just exist and the corporation found it at the same time and they're trying to figure it out at the same time as our characters? I don't know. I don't get it. And then at the end, like the scientist guy's like, yeah, man, I don't know. And he like looks behind the glass at somebody. It occurred to me, like the amount of wasted moments in this and the swag of it. Like if you gave this movie to Steven Spielberg in like 2014, which wouldn't have been possible because we didn't really have this whole buildup of the internet swag yet. But he would handle the fuck out of this movie. He would handle the fuck out of this movie. It's like E.T. adjacent, where it's like the crazy scientist trying to recapture the thing, and like it's this larger than life adventure that's gotten away from things, but there is like a humanity deep seated at the middle of it. But he would have handled the fuck out of this. And we'll talk about Disclosure Day soon, because that was just one of the biggest messes I've ever seen in my life. But the amount of wasted moments here from Kane is just like through the roof. It's not good. And it's like, what do you do with half really good directing and half like the worst directing you've ever seen in your life? Where does that average out? I don't think it's super high. But Curry, on the other hand, I think Curry does great. I think like the balance, like we talked about earlier, of the horror and humor here is like perfect. I'm reminded, and I can't get it out of my brain, of the call in the car where he calls the helpline, right? I was like laughing because bro's like, what's up? And he's like, is this the helpline? He's like, oh yeah, dude. Like, what are you doing? It's like, I've had this call with like a helpline desk guy in California before where he's like fried off his ass and like forgot he's at his job. So you laugh. And then you get terrified because she's like, she's right here, and she screams, and you don't understand the mechanics of this thing, right? And it's the same with the rest of Obsession, where everything that's in the shadows is the scary thing. It's like the tip of the iceberg. What I can't see Andy doing in the corner, but I can see her moving, I'm like, what is she doing? Please stop doing what you're doing, right? It's that scene where he turns around and the duct tape is all over the door. We can tell he's horrified. The camera doesn't let us see it for a minute. And then we turn around, and it wasn't as horrifying as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a dead dog or something pinned to the wall. But it's like, it's still horrifying. There is still just a build out that it's like understands what it is. Like the camera here is like we're not privy to the same thing that the characters are until he'd like to show us it, right? And that's the Obsession thing, is it's like everything's in the dark until Curry asks her to come stand by the bedside and be creepy. The entire gravity of the wish is kind of kept in the shadows until it slowly comes forward. I think building something like this, when it does this good of a job, is like super masterful. And I think you have to like throw mad credit here to someone who was making YouTube movies, gets money, and then makes something this solid. Like, it's a horror movie, so for me, I don't like horror movies that much. It's never going to quite get there. But he lets it breathe. He plays with your, like, what's the word I'm looking for? He plays with your expectations. That's the word I'm looking for. We have fake jump scares. This is not a novel idea, but they're done super well here, where she's holding the flower vase in front of her head and slowly moves it to the side. Oh, wow. You know, like, we're letting things breathe. Like, we have scenes where when he's walking out and she, like, whispers to him in her sleep. Like, these are just kind of, like, freaked out ass things where I'm, like, unnerved and I can't really, like, I don't feel too good in the theater. Like, we had to walk outside and I was like, huh, huh. And, well, while we're here, I do want to give credit to, Mr. Parsons. When bro goes crazy and she goes down to the back rooms for the first time and he like pokes his head out of that slant hallway and then like is slightly out of the shadows and like moves slowly back into the shadows, that also has the reverse jump scare thing where I feel like he understands the conventions of the genre and is using them well in that scene. I'd like to give him credit there. I would. So I mean, that's another like reverse kind of fake jump scare where we're playing with the conventions of the horror genre and it goes well. Now, I think maybe the most powerful thing about Obsession is it's real people doing real things, and we don't have too much horror brain, which is like usually the engine in a horror movie is everyone is retarded, has an IQ of 45, and so the idea can keep playing itself out. I think Obsession doesn't ever say it's welcome at all. It takes us just as long as kind of Curry to like, or not Curry, as long as Bear to kind of figure out what's going on. And then we're getting phone calls. We're getting varying accounts from different people. I loved the messiness of the, what's his name? I think his name was Connor. I can't remember, or Ian or whatever his name was. His friend was banging on her before, and then you think he's just like worried, but then it turns out he might be jealous. That gives us like another couple steps back where it's like maybe she's not like all the way crazy, like maybe, I don't know, maybe she's just Latina. But then as things like develop, obviously things get worse and worse and worse. Now it's super easy to sit in the audience and like the people, I've heard the detractors say like this is retarded, like call the police as soon as she like puts cat in your sandwich, right? The thing is like, first of all, Bear's a pussy. Like, that's the whole point, is like, he's never going to do anything he doesn't have to do. We see that in the beginning with this characterization of, like, she gives him, like, if you've ever liked a girl and you didn't know if you should tell her, and then she, like, most of the time, the girl is not going to come up to you and say, hey, do you like me? Tell me right now. That's the easiest, like, hall pass ever of, I'll just spill. You know what I mean? And she gives him that. And then he doesn't do it still. Like, he will never face the music. Like, that's his whole bag. And I think that's super strong writing, super strong characterization, because the character not changing fucks everything up. The character being unwilling to, like, look at the consequences of what he's got going on fucks everything up. And I think that's, like, super powerful of the real people doing real things, you know? And then I think another thing is when she is like, please kill me, in the sleep, and he's like, am I really so bad? I think that kind of like fuels the incel thing with him, where if he was going to do something about it, her saying that to him hurt his feelings so bad that he's so indignant that he's not going to do anything about it then. And then he goes and sees homegirl at the park, and you're sitting there. And this is another time where Curry's doing a great job playing with what you know from horror movies. You know something bad's going to happen. I'm watching out the back of the windows on both sides, and I'm thinking, who's she going to kill? Now, I should have known she's not going to kill him. She's obsessed with him. But I was just waiting. Like, I could not breathe, and I could not even fucking listen to what they were saying. And I think that's a beautifully constructed thing. These are directing. This is directing. This is where you build something up, and you know what the audience is going to think, and you know what your characters would do, and you know how to shoot it, and you put it all together into a beautiful medley of things. Directing. Thank you, Curry. Thank you. I'm going to do some chugging so I get awesome by the end of this. Stick with me. Okay. We'll go back to it. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about with directing. It's just one of them seems to have a great control of his medium, and the other one seems to have a good idea of aesthetics and no control over the rest of the medium. And to be fair, a lot of movies is just aesthetic. Like, a lot of movies is just, can you put pretty pictures in a row together? And Kane can until he ruins it with his writing, which is part of directing. You have to know when to cut it. Anyways, let's move on. I'd like to talk about another part of it, which is just this kind of bigger question of,
Is it scary / performance?
Is it scary? And a lot of this is, I'm going to talk about performance too, so I'll put / the performances. Backrooms. Yes. I think it's pretty scary, like 2 or 3 times. I think the reverse jump scare with the slanted hallway where he steps back into the shadow is genuinely scary. It gave me the heebie-jeebies. I want to give him credit there. Really, really good. I think the VHS part, that's like the soul of this thing. That's like the bread and butter of this thing. When the stoner kid and the girl are with bro and they're going down into the mall, best part of the movie. Like, hands down. He's hilarious. She's like, you did drugs? He's like, I just smoked weed, dude. And that was like really funny. That was like a good time where it feels like this Curry thing where it's like great balance of horror and humor. You give me a little laugh and I can breathe for a second before you send me back into hell, right? That's really good. And then when we don't see the big evil thing kill the stoner guy, but we see a giant smear of blood and it's like a giant laundry room with clothes everywhere. It does that thing where I'm in a crazy, evil, like, laundry room, and I don't understand what's going on. It's somewhere you've been in a dream before. It's a nightmare, and you can't wait to escape it. But for these people, it's real, and it's on VHS. So any of the like imperfections or anything are kind of smoothed over by the crinkles. And then the other thing is it lends itself to the physical media kind of thing, right? Because clearly this is like back in the day. I feel like this is back in the day. I can't really remember if anybody like has smartphones in it, but I feel like he plays it like it's a late 90s, early 2000s thing with the VHS and just the way everything looks and the way it's trying to like stylize everything. So I'm cool with that, like a slight period piece. And I think the VHS does super well. That kill's really good. It's just when we stick to those found footage guns, it's really good. And the performances here, our main guy, and I don't know his name, and I should, and I'm bad and whatever, but he's 12 Years a Slave guy, and he's a really good actor. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's doing the most that he possibly can with this dookie-ass screenplay. Like I said earlier, like, some of the ticks and switches that he's got going on in his face while he's in therapy is, like, really good. And, you know, the ideas kind of percolating, of like him being this architect, so he like builds stuff, but he can't build what he wants to, so he builds it. It's like there's almost this through line that works, and then it just really falls flat, and I couldn't tell you why. But the girl is really, really bad. She's awful, like super bad, pissed me off. I don't know, don't care, don't want her in the movie. And like her little monologue to him while they're talking is like super bad. And you know, the two teenage kids are like good enough, like they play a good scared, and it's basically just our main guy, and like he's good. And the scientist guy at the end was like fine, didn't really strike me as like a real scientist. However, Obsession to me is like the performances are almost so good that they don't feel like performances. Like it just feels like these people are being who they are, with the exception of Indy, whatever her last name is. See, I didn't do too much research on this one. I just sat down and started going, but she is great. Obviously, like, she kind of carries the movie. Like, her being crazy enough and it being believable is sort of the engine here. It's, like, the heart of it. But, I mean, for her, like, she is terrifying. It's super scary and unnerving to be, like, in this place with this person and, like, you don't know which side of them it is. And I feel like for a while for Bear, there's this, like, disbelief that it's actually two different people, right? As would be for most normal people, because supernatural stuff's not really real. But so it's the idea of like the evil versus good, of like who are you going to get today kind of coin flip thing of this domestic life. And that's super scary. Every time she's in the corner, they're doing the weird slow-mo thing. Like, it's just super unnerving, and like you could never really rest your eyes and you could never really rest your brain. Like, you knew nothing good was going to happen. You knew they might give you brief little moments where you get to laugh and play and kick your feet into air, and then you knew it was going to go right back to hell. Like, anytime she screams, it's like nails on a chalkboard. There's some really like gnarly like gore here, and I don't know what I would call this, but this is a thing I feel like is with horror movies now, is like it's not just good kills. Like old horror movies, like I think about The Omen a lot, where the sheet of glass slides out the bed of the truck and slices bro's head off, and it like spins in the air. These are like good kills. Like, they're good horror movie kills. But I feel like the horror movie now is like the kill's not so creative. It's more about just going incredibly overboard with it. Like, little girl getting beheaded in Hereditary is like a good setup, but so much of it is like steep. It's like body horror adjacent. Like, it's not doing the body horror thing that like The Substance did, but it's like they just are doing the most. It's like the Talk to Me dudes chew on a knife. The other guy headbutts a knife in their other movie, or I get them confused. Like, headbutt the table a bunch and fuck your face up like she does in this movie. It's this thing where it's like, it's got to be like over the top and horrifying, and it always works. Like, I don't really, like I said, not the biggest horror movie fan, but when she headbutts the table a bunch and like splits her head open at the party, it's gnarly. And then everyone's kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And then obviously when she kills the girl with a brick, it's fucking gross as fuck. And then, you know, like later when you see the body in the house where homegirl put it, it's like, like there's just, it's well thought out. Like, the entire thing is well thought out. And what it does is when we went out in the parking lot, we talked more about why did this happen? And there was always someone else in our little circle that was like, no, it happened because of this. And they caught something someone else didn't catch. that just like worked. It was airtight. And the thing I'm reminded of is homegirl was drawing all of the other girls' tattoos on her in Sharpie. Like that's why she was all scribbled over it in that last scene. And I didn't like put that together. And my girlfriend said that, and I was like, ugh. It's this type of jealousy that like it's just taking jealousy to the nth degree. The movie's taking obsession, like romantic obsession, to the nth degree. Obviously, to the point where it's doing something completely different. It's also, visiting ideas of autonomy and things. I'm not really here to talk about like the themes of the movie as much, but I think they're powerful. And once again, it's just everybody feels real. And so when they're scared, I'm scared. When they're scary, I'm scared. When they're, when the one guy runs in with $1 billion and I'm hyped, he gets headshotted. I was like, whoa. It was very, you're just in it. Like I'm locked in. There's not things that are making me roll my eyes that take me out of the movie. Right. And so what that really brings me to is the kind of
The litmus test or head to head.
The litmus test, the head to head, right? For me, Backrooms is a 2 out of 5. It's kind of bullshit. If it was any lower, it'd go on my stinkers list, but there's some things that save it. There's some good moments, and I think the sublime, for lack of better words, the transcendent idea of the Backrooms and the power of the aesthetic of it and just the visuals gets it a long ways. Cinematography's great, and the set design's awesome because he didn't have to render it. So I think they built these things, and parts of it are just creepy, and it does well in that. Everything else is really bad. But Obsession to me, 4 out of 5. I don't think I can give it a 5 because it's not like super transcendent to me, but I had an absolute blast watching this in the theater with everybody I was with. And then like talking about it afterwards, everybody has like something else to add to it. Awesome. And then, the only thing I really knock it for is the scene where Bear cries on the mountaintop. But for me, it gave me this sense of dread that kept mounting. And all I kept wishing while I was watching it was that we could just go back to before he made the wish. I was like, that was a funny group of friends. They seem like they get along well. I'm not a big TV show guy, but it'd be just fun to watch them hang out. Like, I think that would just be a good hangout sesh. And then obviously by the end of it, they're all dead. And you're like, oh, I wish that was not what happened. And you wish you could break a one wish, Willow, and say, hey, can we go back and undo Bear's wish? Don't know. But I mean, the big idea for me here is like wasting 6 out of 5 potential like Backrooms does is worse than just being a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 movie. Like, what you are, you do your assignment, you turn it in, and you get a good grade on the rubric. Backrooms is like shooting for the stars and trying to do like 80 different things the teacher didn't ask for, and it's falling flat on like 70 of them. And, that's just super bad. Like, Obsession isn't transcendent, most horror isn't, but it's a blast. And Backrooms just pisses me off really bad. And when you piss me off really bad, you're going to get a bad score because I'm mean. And I just can't, it really just boils down to this. Like, the litmus test here for me in the head-to-head is like, if you think Backrooms is better than Obsession, you cannot be trusted for swag. You can't be trusted for taste making, and you just can't be trusted to make good decisions about art. You just can't, because it's not good. And to me, it's super night and day of like, which one would I rather watch again? Obsession all day. If someone had rather seen neither of them and I was going to show them to someone, Obsession all day. My parents wanted to watch one of them, Obsession all day. Like, Backrooms is just bad. And I think the idea is, it just sort of comes off like this thing where it's like, anyone that likes Backrooms is like a girlfriend who thinks their bum-ass boyfriend can change, and you're looking at the movie for its potential that's not there. It's not real. He's never going to change. He's a bum. You need to break up with him. And that's how I feel about Backrooms. And I'll leave you with this. I fucking hope that they give Kane another Backrooms movie, Backrooms 2, and he just does a different build out and we visit different people and we don't do the therapy thing. I think he had the idea, and if he could just get a straight shot through without doing gay therapy shit, and just police are chasing him, or we get, the company with their VHS tapes files, like when they were looking at dude through the camera, it was really powerful. There's ideas there that work. Give him Backrooms 2, give him Backrooms 3, and maybe by Backrooms 4, he'll really figure it out, and we'll have an amazing movie. I will go see the next Kane Parsons movie. I will go see the next Curry Barker movie. Adrian out. We'll talk to you guys next time.